Hey, welcome to Riverside. Today we have a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and just some things to keep in mind about artificial intelligence, some things kind of looking forward, what to watch out for, kind of things to just be aware of. Things to just be aware of, because if AI is taken to its fullest extent, it's going to reshape our world. Again, I'm not saying that it necessarily will, but if taken to its fullest extent, it will reshape our world, our society, how we live, how we interact with people. It really does have an effect. I use this article as a reference point. This is Imago AI, how AI will shape our souls. It's from Christianity Today, written by a girl named Kate Lucky. And Christianity Today isn't my favorite necessarily. They're kind of hit or miss, to me at least. But this article right here really was informative. It brought up a lot of good points that I didn't really think about until I read this article. And so as I've researched AI, as I've kind of gotten into what it is and just how far it can go and just how much potential AI has, it really is, I'll be honest with you, to me, kind of alarming. I don't know. I'm kind of with Elon Musk on this. I think we should maybe pump the brakes on this whole AI thing until we can kind of figure out a way to regulate it. I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of issues that might be caused from AI. And if you think I'm crazy, think about social media. Look, when social media first started, it was like MySpace. And it's kind of just this thing you had on your computer. You didn't put much stock into it. It's just, you could go change your background, add a song to your profile, maybe pick your top 5 friends, and you kind of, DM your friends or whatever. And it's just as simple as that. It really wasn't a thing. But as time has progressed and people have realized the impact that social media has on the world and on society, as businesses have come to social media as their number one form of advertisement, it's changed our world. It's changed how we view people. It's changed how our brains work even. It's changed people's body image and how they see themselves. It's really had a lot of unintended consequences that nobody really expected. But here we are. And with social media, you have to ask, were all those, was it a net positive or a net negative? Is it really worth all the trouble that it is to just have social media, a place where we can go chat with our friends and scroll mindlessly on the internet? So it had unintended consequences that nobody really thought of. And with AI, I think it'll be the same. I think, like I said, if taken to its fullest extent, it will have unintended consequences. Now, before we move any further, I have a quick word. I have recently gotten in contact with a company. They reached out to me actually and wanted to ask if I wanted to be a partner with them. And it's a company called Covenant Eyes. Here's a quick word for them. Our first partner ever. Here's some information on Covenant Eyes. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to take a second to tell you about an opportunity from our first partner, Covenant Eyes. And Covenant Eyes is a company that's dedicated to helping you, or maybe even your spouse or a child or a friend or whoever it is, in the battle against porn. And here's how it works. There's 2 apps to download once you sign up. The first one is actually Covenant Eyes. And Covenant Eyes will just basically quietly monitor your internet activity and block certain sites that have pornography or explicit material. The second app that you're going to download is the Victory app. And you're actually going to download this with a friend, an ally, somebody you can trust, somebody who will keep you accountable. And essentially what this one does is, again, monitors your activity. And anytime you come across pornography or explicit material, it'll send a notification to your partner, your friend, whatever it is, and let them know that that happened. And it'll actually give them the tools to then talk to you about it, maybe find some root causes of the issue, and then move forward in the fight against porn. If you're interested in using Covenant Eyes, use this QR code right here at the bottom of the screen. It'll take you to a How It Works page. Check it out, read all about it, and then if you're actually interested in signing up, go to Get Started at the top right corner of the page and use promo code Riverside. Promo code Riverside. It'll give you a first month free. You won't have to pay. Look, if push comes to shove, try it out for a month, and if you don't like it, cancel it. But that's promo code Riverside for the first month free. It's Covenant Eyes. Use this QR code and it'll tell you all about it. Now let's get on with our show. Thanks for listening. All right, so back to AI. I'll be honest. Before I researched into this and before I really started getting into the how it all works and all that stuff, I kind of thought AI was kind of just a thing, kind of just a thing that helps you write emails. It can maybe look up some certain information for you. It can help you do some small menial tasks that aren't that really big of a deal. But as I've read into it, as I've really figured out just how far AI can go, just how much potential it has, just how much the creators want to advance it, it really is kind of shocking. And if you're also like me, who kind of thought it's just this thing out there that nobody really thinks of, think about this. Imagine a world where every student has their own AI tutor. And this AI tutor can teach math or science or history or whatever the subject is, and it can teach them at a level, at an advanced level, like a level that's high enough to where the student learns better than he does from a math teacher. That's what the creators and developers of AI are pushing for. Imagine a world where you call the doctor's office and you want to schedule an appointment because let's say you have a stomach ache or whatever, and you answer the phone, or you call, they answer the phone. Hey, this is so and so from this doctor's office. How can I help you? And you tell them your symptoms, you give them your information, all this stuff. You tell them, you talk to them about the best time to meet, and all this stuff. But it's not a human being; it's a robot. That's what the developers of AI are pushing for. Imagine a world where AI is even involved in therapy, where maybe you don't have an AI therapist who treats you in the long term, but there are certain tasks that are shorter, that are I guess more remedial, where it can detect suicidal ideation, or AI can rephrase self-deprecating comments, or it can point you in the right direction, or give you certain resources. That's what the developers of AI are pushing for. There's already apps out there where you can have an AI relationship, whether it's a friend or a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is. You can have an AI version of that, and it can learn from you, learn what you like, learn what you don't like, and mold itself to your likes, like your desires. And it's your boyfriend or girlfriend. Now that's weird to me. I'm not into that, but that's out there. There are apps that you can download now on your phone that do exactly that. So when we're talking about AI, we're not just talking about this thing that's on a computer that can kind of help you do some small tasks at work. We're talking about something that can replace jobs, something that is advanced enough to do a job just as well, if not better, than a human can. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about AI. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about the potential that AI has. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about how AI can reshape our world. If you look into how advanced AI is already, it's insane. It's insane. Like if you really look at what AI can do already, it's wild. You should go look it up on YouTube. But it's just crazy to think that you can use AI to make, a robot, whatever it is, say something and sound like a specific person. You can use AI to paint photorealistic pictures of people and things. They get the hands kind of funny, but regardless, you can have photorealistic images and paintings that are made just from AI. You can pick the style. You can give it prompts to tell you what you want it to make, and it does it for you, all within a matter of seconds. And I think of that, let's say you're a company and you want a lot of wall art or different decor for your business or whatever it is. Why go pay a photographer or an artist to paint you these masterpieces that take time and work and effort and energy, when you can just say, hey, paint me a picture of this, make it in this style, and just hit send or whatever, and then it does it. That's crazy. It's mind blowing just how far AI can go. As a matter of fact, within this article by Kate Lucky, Imago AI, she talks about how AI can already detect lesions and mammograms. It can already track forest fires. It can already push out propaganda from different governments. Governments can use AI. We've already seen that in the past. and it can do all kinds of stuff. It can pass the bar exam for law school. It can pass that. Like this, it's insane. And so when you, like I said, when you really think of the potential that AI has, then you start to understand just how much this could change our world. And so that's probably the biggest, well, I guess most eye-opening thing for me is just how much potential it has, just how far this could actually go. And as Christians, I think it's important that we're aware of it, not paranoid about it, not anxious about it or stressed about it, but just aware of it, so that we can understand it a little better, know what it is, know how it works, know the potential of it, and keep in mind some things, to remember. And that's where things get really interesting with the whole AI discussion. That's where things just really take off, and there's a lot of questions that are asked on a moral side. And it's funny, a lot of people ask, can this be done? But they never ask, should it be done? Is it moral to be done? Is this best for society if this is done? And these are questions that we need to be asking as we move forward. I'm only going to bring up a few points that the article makes. If you want the article, I'll link it in the description. That way you can go read it for yourself. But I'll bring up 3 points that I thought were really interesting. One is the relational aspect of AI, or in other words, how AI will affect relationships. Let's go back to the analogy I used earlier. Let's talk about, imagine calling a doctor's office and scheduling an appointment, and you have an entire conversation. It sounds like a human. It has the inflection of human, might even make some jokes like a human might, and this, that, and the other, but it's all a robot. And imagine that a lot of the interactions you have with people, companies, whatever it is, are robots. It's not actually a human you're talking to, but it sounds just like a human. It makes you feel like a human might make you feel, and this, that, and the other. Imagine that. And then imagine how that might affect how we interact with people. I guess a good comparison would be, once again, go back to social media. Look at how social media has affected how we interact with one another. I guess one way to explain this is I'm a youth minister. I've been in youth ministry for 10 years as a youth minister. I remember being in a youth group a long time ago, since I was 10. And I remember going to things like Winterfest in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and it was crazy because you had all these different youth groups, different groups of teenagers who were interacting with each other and joking with each other and having fun with each other. And it didn't matter that you were part of a different youth group. You just had fun together. And it was this very cool thing because although we don't know each other, we're bonding over Christ. We're bonding over just being at Winterfest. And it's just this, we connected. And now if you go to Winterfest, we still go every year. It's in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's a great time. But now if you go to Winterfest, that's not the case. Groups don't intermingle unless they already know each other. It never happens. Matter of fact, your group sometimes doesn't even intermingle with themselves unless you just have a really close group. But what happens is a lot of times you have teens who get most of their social interaction on their phone. And that's how they've learned to have social interaction. That's where they've gotten that need for social interaction in a lot of ways. Now, of course, they have school and sports and all that stuff, but a lot of it's just on their phone. And so now what we've lost is this ability to come together and just joke around with each other and make new friends, spark up new friendships out of thin air. That's what we've lost. And so that's just with social media. That's just with this thing on your phone that you can put away, and that's just with social media. Imagine how much different that'll be with AI. Another point that it brings up another point that Kate Lucky brings up is how that might have us treat each other. When you're dealing with a robot, a robot doesn't have feelings. Doesn't have emotions. It's just a robot. It's an inanimate object. It can mimic emotion. It can mimic intelligence. It can mimic a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, it's just a robot. So if I'm snippy with a robot. Let's say I'm working with a robot. Let's say I'm working with AI. I'm trying to get AI to write me an email. And I say, write me an email about this, and here's the details that I want the email to have, and go ahead and write it. And it writes it. I review it. I don't like it. AI, like whatever. I don't like it. You tell it that I want it to be more like this, and it does it. Okay, I don't like that either. I want you to sound more personable. I want you to sound more relatable. Can you do that for me? And it does it. So imagine that type of relationship, quote unquote relationship that you have with AI, where it's very demanding. It's very much, you're here to serve me, and that's it. And if you don't serve me, I'm going to tell you to change, and it's going to be this thing. Imagine that kind of relationship with AI, and imagine how that will affect our relationship with the humans that we know and love. Is it possible? Is it possible for AI to skew and change how we see our fellow human beings? Is it possible that AI, taken to its fullest extent, will begin to force us into dehumanizing our friends and our family and the people around us, the people at the barista at the coffee shop, or the guy bringing your pizza to your house? Is that possible? I think it is. I don't think that's unheard of. And so that's just another aspect to think about whenever you're thinking about AI. We can't let AI change how we love the world around us. Because we have to keep in mind, AI is not real, but there are a lot of people that are real. The connections that we have with our family and our friends and the barista at the coffee shop, those are real things. And they matter. Those people matter. Those people matter more than AI does. Those people are made in the image of God. And we can't let AI skew how we see them. And that's just another important thing to bring up. There's a lot of questions about loneliness and AI potentially even replacing human connections. We've already seen we've already seen instances where somebody will have an AI boyfriend or girlfriend. That's a thing. And it's probably a lot more common than you realize. Like I said, you can go on your phone. I don't know where my phone is. You can go on my phone and download certain apps that do exactly that. You can text this AI robot, whatever. You can have conversations with it. You can build a relationship with something that's not even real. Will AI ever get to the point where many people out there don't connect with humans, but only connect with AI? Is that possible? I don't think it's unheard of. We already deal with, there's an epidemic of loneliness happening right now in America. It happened pre-COVID. And then COVID exacerbated that. COVID made that even worse. Because now you're saying you're forcing people to stay in their homes and this, that, and the other. You can't go to work. You can't go to school. You can't go to church, which is an abomination. That shouldn't have ever happened. But that's what happened. And people are lonelier now than ever. Why would we replace the few human connections that we have with something like AI? Now, here's something that I think, like legit, I really think this. I think that as AI progresses and as AI advances, as companies and businesses and people use AI more and more and more to do regular things, I think there will be maybe a niche market for real, authentic work, especially within like the art world. I think there's going to come a point when people don't want AI art. They don't want AI involved in music. They just want true, authentic music and true, authentic art. And I think that's a real thing. So if that's you, if you're an artist or a creator, maybe you create content on Instagram or YouTube, whatever, maybe that's an opportunity to resist AI and just keep everything authentic. Sometimes we want perfection, but we can't sacrifice authenticity in our effort to be perfect or to look perfect or to have perfect art or music or content or whatever. It's just something to think about. Okay, so let's move on from the relational aspect of AI. Let's talk about the idolatry of AI. There's questions within the AI world and the AI industry about whether AI will ever be idolized, especially amongst Christians who are involved in this field. And it's a good question to ask. Matter of fact, that's one of the biggest questions that I do ask. There's a chapter in the Bible called Habakkuk. Let me look up this passage real quick. Habakkuk 2. Is it Habakkuk or Habakkuk? I've always called it Habakkuk, but maybe it's Habakkuk. I don't really know. Comment that. Let me know if it's Habakkuk or Habakkuk. And I don't know how you're going to comment that with typing words, because I don't know, but try to let me know how to say that. Anyways, this is Habakkuk 2, starting at verse 18. It says, "What use is a carved idol after its craftsman carves it? It's only a cast image of teacher of lies, for the one who crafts its shape trusts in it and makes worthless idols that cannot speak. Woe to him who says to wood, 'Wake up,' or to mute stone, 'Come alive.' Can it teach? Look, it may be plated with gold and silver, yet there's no breath in it at all." And so what it's talking about here is the kind of the silliness of idols. It's kind of talking about the silliness of idols. Think back then when they used to make idols. Think of like the golden calf. It's this idol that they created out of gold, and it's something that they worshipped. And they had different carved idols and all kinds of stuff that they worshipped, and it's kind of silly looking back. It's like it's a statue. You're going to worship a statue? But people did. And people worship things that are a lot more foolish now than a statue. But here's my question. If people would worship a statue that's made out of wood or gold or, stone or whatever it is, then how much more would they worship a created being, I use that in air quotes, a created thing that can talk to you, that has access to all kinds of knowledge, and that is the closest thing that we have to omniscience that we've ever seen. I mean, when you really think, omniscience means all-knowing, and humans are certainly not all-knowing, but AI, taken to its fullest extent, will be the closest thing to omniscient that we've ever seen in our entire lives. Really, that the world has ever seen. I don't know if you realize that, but AI has access to, I don't know how it all works, but potentially it has access to all the information in the world. And it can research and formulate thoughts and opinions on whatever it is a lot faster than we can. How much longer is it before Christians go to AI before they go to Scripture? How much longer is it before Christians consider the weight of AI's opinion heavier than the opinion of God? That's not unheard of to me. That's not unheard of to me at all. As a matter of fact, I think that's a very realistic expectation. I think that we should expect that people will, to some extent, worship AI, if not downright bowing down and worshiping AI, at least in action, in application, worshiping AI. But here's the issue, is that AI is only as good as the person that creates it. It's only as good as the person who creates it. It can't outdo its creator. At least that's how I understand it. But if you have something that, let's say you ask a question and it scours the internet, it's only as good as the information out there. And we know that not all information is good. Not all information is accurate. There's something called misinformation and disinformation and lies. And there are a lot of lies that are widely believed and accepted. So I don't think it's unheard of to think about people idolizing AI, and as Christians, that's something we need to look out for and keep in mind and be aware of. Last thing I want to talk about is the anthropomorphization of AI. Anthropomorphization is a lot like a big word. Essentially what it means is making it human-like. and making it seem more human. There are discussions, actually this article brought it up. There are discussions about whether or not we should anthropomorphize or make AI seem more human. And I don't think that's unreasonable. As a matter of fact, when you look, if you go to ChatGPT, you can ask it a question, and you can tell it's a robot, but very much so. You could tell it's also trying to sound somewhat human, somewhat relatable. And like I said, we've already talked about the apps where you can have a boyfriend or girlfriend. That's definitely going to seem like a real relationship, like a real. It's trying to present itself as human-like as possible. Matter of fact, there are it brought up this article brought up the fact that AI will sometimes joke and sometimes maybe add emojis to an answer or a reply or whatever it is, and so it very much is something that tries to present itself as human. But we have to remember that it's not. And we have to remember that the only thing that can have a soul is something that comes from God himself. Because humans cannot gift a soul. Humans can't create a soul. We can't distribute souls to however we see fit. We don't have that power or ability or that capability. It's just not there. We have to remember that God himself is the only one who can do that. And so when it comes to making AI seem as real as possible, that seems like a red flag to me. Maybe that's just me, but that seems like a pretty big red flag. Because I think there needs to be a distinction between what is human and authentic and what is not. And when we begin to blur those lines, we really get into some issues. I really think that. Now, this entire video can really be summed up in one word. That one word is discernment. Look, I'm not against AI. I don't think AI is necessarily a bad thing. As a matter of fact, I think there's a lot of good that can probably come from AI. And we've already seen that it can detect lesions in mammograms. It can track forest, wildfires. It can do a lot of good stuff, but it can do a lot of bad stuff too, and it can do a lot of evil things too. And we just have to be discerning about it. We can't sit here and just do whatever we want with it without asking, is it moral? Is it best for society? Is it the right thing to do to use AI in this way? We have to be wise and use discernment and ask ourselves, is an AI relationship really the best thing for you? Is an AI friend really the best thing for you? Or is it really a hindrance in disguise? And so as we move forward with AI, as AI advances, as AI continues to become more mainstream and become a bigger part of society, I'm not saying run away from AI and put on a tinfoil hat, but just be discerning about it. It's nothing to freak out about, nothing to stress about, nothing to be anxious about, although I understand why people might be anxious. It's nothing to be stressed or anxious about, but it's just something that we should be aware of and use discernment with. And listen, I'll say this. I had a poll on Instagram. I asked people, is AI a net negative or net positive? And pretty much everybody said net negative. I don't know if there was one person who did say net positive. That's not to say that there's not some good things that can happen from AI again, but most people said it's a net negative. And there were even some people who reached out who were low-key kind of anxious about it, kind of scared of it. And I get it. That's understandable. That's nothing. I get it. I promise, I get it. But we need to, as Christians, rest in the fact that God is sovereign. God is omniscient. He's the only one who is truly omniscient, all-knowing. He is the only one who is truly omnipotent, which is all-powerful. And that's the God that we serve. We don't have to be stressed and worried about AI. We can rest in the fact that God is in control and he works all things out for the good of those who love him. We can rest in that. And that brings me comfort. And that's the great thing about Christianity. That's the great thing about being a Christ follower, is that it doesn't matter what what's going on in the world. It doesn't matter the circumstances of the world. We can rest knowing that our God is mightier, our God is stronger, our God is better than what's going on in the world, and that's a really comforting thought. So as we wrap up this episode, my prayer is that you continue to think about this and continue to practice discernment moving forward as AI advances in our society. And just look, at the end of the day, take it to God. If you ever have a question about AI or whether something's moral or whether we should do it, take it to God. Go to Scripture about it, pray about it, and see what He says. And listen. When He tells you something, listen. And those are my thoughts for the day. I'm going to go ahead and play this video from Covenant Eyes, or that same little promo that I played earlier, just cuz. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and watch it. Like this video, comment on this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. I've been spending a lot of time growing the Instagram over the past year or so, and now I'm going to try to get my YouTube, game up. And so share this video. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I really do. Some of you guys are really good friends who watch these videos, and your support means a lot more than you realize. So thank you, and I'll see you next time. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to take a second to tell you about an opportunity from our first partner, Covenant Eyes. And Covenant Eyes is a company that's dedicated to helping you, or maybe even your spouse or a child or a friend or whoever it is, in the battle against porn. And here's how it works. There's 2 apps to download once you sign up. The first one is actually Covenant Eyes. And Covenant Eyes will just basically quietly monitor your internet activity and block certain sites that have pornography or explicit material. The second app that you're going to download is the Victory app. And you're actually going to download this with a friend, an ally, somebody you can trust, somebody who will keep you accountable. And essentially what this one does is, again, monitors your activity. And anytime you come across pornography or explicit material, it'll send a notification to your partner, your friend, whatever it is, and let them know that that happened. And it'll actually give them the tools to then talk to you about it, maybe find some root causes of the issue, and then move forward in the fight against porn. If you're interested in using Covenant Eyes, use this QR code right here at the bottom of the screen. It'll take you to a How It Works page. Check it out, read all about it, and then if you're actually interested in signing up, go to Get Started at the top right corner of the page and use promo code Riverside. Promo code Riverside. It'll give you a first month free. You won't have to pay. Look, if push comes to shove, try it out for a month, and if you don't like it, cancel it. But that's promo code Riverside for the first month free. It's Covenant Eyes. Use this QR code, and it'll tell you all about it. Now let's get on with our show. Thanks for listening.